Luna the Matchmaker, Chapter 10. Not All Tears Are Sad, by Stephen Little. My Little Pony and all associated characters are copyright by Hasbro. Luna pulls the crying Sweetie Belle towards her. "It's okay, dear. You must be careful. The shell of gems and magic are the only things keeping Spike alive right now. Should it break, we might lose him." "I don't understand. What's going on, Rainbow Dash? Why are you two here?" Twilight asked. "I'm here to knock the stuffing out of that dragon as soon as he gets out of there," she said. "Has every pony gone crazy? What is going on?" Twilight demanded. "Last night Spike told Rainbow Dash that there was an emergency and that you needed him here," Sweetie Belle explained. "This morning Mom got a letter from Spike." Sweetie Belle gave the letter to her. Twilight scanned the parchment quickly. "Oh, Spike, you didn't have to lie to us. We would have understood." Luna could see the sadness and disappointment written on her mate's face. "Rainbow Dash, please return to Ponyville and see to Rarity. Try to keep her calm and inform her that Spike is okay and will be back there as soon as possible," she told her. "I ain't going anywhere till I settle with Spike. I hate being used and lied to." Twilight rubbed her temple with a hoof. "Dash, please go. I'm tired, I'm worn out, Dawn and Dusk still need to be fed, and I'm in no mood to deal with this right now. I promise when Spike wakes up, we will deal with him. Anything else that needs to be said can wait till he gets back. Now shoo!" Okay, but the next time I see him, I'm gonna bust him in the chops." Rainbow turned and left in a huff. "Belle, dear, Twilight and I are going to lay down and rest for a while. We need the respite after completing such a difficult spell. Could you do us a favor and watch over Spike?" Luna asked. Sweetie Belle saluted smartly. "You can count on me, Princess." She ran over and lay down next to the gem cocoon that held the only father she had ever known. Luna and Twilight left the room and were on their way to their bedchamber when Luna stopped them. "I just had an idea. Hold on a moment." Luna closed her eyes and her horn began to glow. She stood there for a few minutes, then opened her eyes, smiled, and trotted off toward the bedroom. "Dear, what did you do?" Twilight asked. "Not much. Just arranged for someone to keep Belle company while we sleep," Luna informed her mate. Back in Ponyville, Scootaloo shook her head, trying to shake the image of Princess Luna out of her mind. "Was that real?" she asked herself. "Was it a dream? Luna said Sweetie Belle needs me. Well, even if that was a dream, I can't let her down." Jumping from the edge of the cloud she had been sleeping on, the young orange Pegasus opened her wings and flew towards Canterlot. She didn't know why she needed to go there, but every fiber of her being told her that Sweetie Belle would be at the palace in Canterlot and that she needs her help. Scootaloo was faster than the majority of Pegasi in her class, but nowhere near as fast as Rainbow Dash or Soren. Even with her ability to reach speeds her classmates couldn't, Scootaloo's wings were still smaller than average, and it took her hours to reach the outskirts of the city. The young Pegasus rested on a cloud to catch her breath. Her wings were sore, and her lungs felt like they were on fire from the exertion. As she tried to regain control over her breathing, down below her she saw a group of 5 stallions talking. Straining her ears, she just made out what they were saying. "Are you sure about that, Soren?" Brayburn asked him. "Sure I am. Rainbow Dash was headed back to town. I flew up and asked her what was going on. She told me that Princess Luna and Twilight had already cast their spell on Spike. Seems he lied to them, too. Told them he had talked everything over with Rarity and Sweetie Belle. By the time they got there, it was too late to do anything about it. We'll just have to wait till he comes out of the shell they put him in before we have our little chat."
"Wait, nothing. I'm gonna knock some sense into that boy, even so if I have to bust him out of that shell myself," Big Macintosh stated.
"That a bit harsh, isn't it? I'm sure we can come to some sort of rational agreement here," Julian pleaded. "Soren, didn't you say the shell was keeping Spike alive?" "Oh, yeah, that's what Rainbow said."
"Of course Twilight would say that. Those two are like brother and sister," Macintosh said.
"Until I get information on Spike's condition, I won't lay a hoof on him, and I won't allow any of you to harm the boy," Julian said, steadfast in his statement. "You're too soft, Julian. Spike practically abandoned Rarity and their foal. That's just not the sort of thing to do. Spike only cares about himself.
If it takes a bit of rough and tumble to get that through his scaly head, then so be it.
Caramel's right there, Julian. Spike knew he had responsibilities now. He knows he can't just dump them on Rarity when the mood suits him, Braeburn added. I can understand why all of you are upset, and if it's true, he'll answer to me as well. I just think we all need to calm down and find out exactly what's happening before we do something we'll all regret, Julian pleaded with them. This was what Luna was trying to tell me. It wasn't a dream after all. I've got to warn Belle, she thought to herself as she shot off towards the palace. Flying right up to the main entrance, she hovered in front of the two guards and showed them the purple amulet hanging around her neck. My name is Scootaloo, personal guard to Princess Luna and Lady Twilight. Let me pass, please. It's very important that I see Sweetie Belle.
The filly you seek is in the third room down the second corridor on the left, one of the guards informed her. The guards stepped aside and admitted the Pegasus entrance into the palace. Scootaloo ran through the palace to the room the guards indicated. Bursting in, she found Sweetie Belle curled up next to a glowing pink cocoon. Belle, wake up! Scooty, what are you doing here? She asked. Princess Luna sent for me. She said you needed help. But I'm okay, or as okay as I can be with my daddy in this thing, she said. But there are 5 stallions coming to get Spike. Big Macintosh, Braeburn, Caramel, Soren, and some pony that looks like the doctor, but they all call him Julian. I heard them as I flew over. They're really mad at Spike about something. Oh my gosh, I need to get out there quick. Sweetie Belle gave Scootaloo a quick kiss on the lips. Thank you for rushing here so fast to help. The teenage unicorn raced out of the room and headed for the main entrance of the castle. As the unicorn skidded to a stop at the entrance to the castle, the 2 door guards rushed up to her. Miss Belle, is everything all right? Is there something we can do for you? The guard on her left asked. Yes, as a matter of fact there is. 5 stallions are arriving here shortly. I will deal with them, she told them, resentment burning in her eyes. I want both of you to remain at your posts. Should they get past me, however, I want you to stop them. They are not to enter the palace. Are these orders of Princess Luna? The other guard asked.
In a roundabout way, yes. Spike the dragon is gravely ill, and the princess has charged me with his safety. The ponies approaching the palace are not bad ponies, but I believe they mean the small dragon harm.
The 2 guards looked at each other and smiled at the junior guard's ambition and tenacity. We are at your command, Miss Belle.
Sweetie Belle sat between the 2 guards, waiting as one by one the 5 stallions made their way to the front entry of the palace. Halt! Sweetie Belle said in as commanding voice as she could muster. The 5 ponies came to a stop, shocked at the unicorn filly's tone.
We ain't got time for your game, Sweetie Belle. We got business inside with Spike, Macintosh said.
If you want my daddy, then you're going to have to go through me first, she stated brazenly. None of the stallions were surprised at the statement, as the word had gotten around about Rarity and Sweetie Belle's true relationship. Sweetie, this doesn't really concern you. I don't think you understand what's really going on here, Braeburn said dismissively. Like heck I don't, she yelled at him. You think I don't understand what Spike thought the only way he could be a real daddy to Garnet and me, or a husband to Rarity, was to take drastic steps? He's risking his life for us. You can't possibly know what he's going through. No pony understood. They can't possibly know. Julian stopped between the 2 parties. Now, there's no need for shouting, Sweetie Belle. Why is it so important to you? He asked. I hear Mummy crying almost every night. I see Spike sad and depressed all the time. I asked her about it once, and she told me that she's sad because ever since Garnet was born they've tried to be intimate, but each time it just makes Spike depressed. It hurts my mom to know she couldn't show her love for him without causing him pain.
That's because he's a kid, Sweetie Belle, Caramel shouted. By all accounts, those 2 shouldn't even be together. But here we are. Rarity had a kid with him, and child or not, he has to live up to that responsibility. Buck you, Caramel. Spike's 22 years old, but that makes him an adult. It's not his fault that he ages slower than we do. I've no idea what that's like, none of you. You can't understand what it's like, not being able to really be with the one you love. I know what you all are thinking. You think Spike is being selfish. You think he's doing this for no other reason than to have sex with Rarity. Sweetie Belle, Macintosh shouted, you watch what you say around your elders.
No, I won't, she said, stamping both of her front hoofs down. Tears of anger, fury, and sadness rolled down her cheeks. "When was the last time any of you actually made love to your filly? Was it last night? The week before?" She stood there, staring at one then another, trying to control her emotions. "The last and one and only time my daddy made love to my mom was over 4 years ago. Sex is sex, but if you could never really make love to that one pony you love more than anything in the world, how would you feel?"
"We don't have time for this," Soren said as he flew into the air and attempted to enter the palace through one of the windows. Soren did not get far when Sweetie Belle used her magic to grab him by the tail, forcefully yanked him out of the air and threw him to the ground.
"Sweetie Belle, what have you done?" Caramel was shocked. "I'm sorry, but I did what I had to do." Sweetie Belle took an aggressive posture, pointing her horn menacingly. "I've been trained by the Royal Guard Academy on how to use this thing. If you try to pass me, I will use it," she yelled, breathing hard. "Don't be foolish, Sweetie Belle. You can't hope to stop all of us," Soren said, getting back to his hoofs. "She doesn't have to!" Sweetie Belle turned her head to find Scootaloo and half a contingent of Celestia's Royal Guard to back them up. Scootaloo stepped in front of her and adopted the same stance Sweetie Belle had a moment earlier. Spreading her small wings in a protective manner, shielding Sweetie Belle, she sneered at the stallions. "You 5, be ashamed of yourself. Especially you, Soren. You knew Belle and I were seeing each other." The other stallions looked at Soren curiously. "I didn't lay a hoof on her. This has nothing to do with either of you. We're just trying to get inside to talk with Spike," the Blue Pegasus tried to explain. "Really? You expect me to believe that? I heard you, all of you. You're so angry at Spike that you're ready to break him out of the shell that's keeping him alive. Are you really so angry at him you'd risk his life?" "I never said that. I just wanted to talk to him, find why he lied to your mother and every pony else," Soren said. "Well, now you know, so what are you 5 going to do now? Are you going to continue picking on my mare friend? Are you going to keep picking on some pony almost half your age? You are all patronizing and dismissive of her, either because you think she's too young or too inexperienced to know what she's talking about. Let me tell you, she knows the difference between sex and making love. Sweetie Belle and I have been sharing bed for the last few months. She may be young, but I can assure you she's not inexperienced. Now, if your calls are done, I suggest you turn around and go back to Ponyville. You can do more good there than here." "I think you 5 could learn a lesson from these two." All the quarreling ponies looked up to see Princess Celestia standing in the doorway. They immediately bowed in reverence. "Rise, please. You 5 came here with what I believe was the best of intentions, but on the way you got yourself ferning and ready for a fight. Doctor, or is it Julian now? You were the voice of reason in this group, and for that I thank you. The rest of you should calm down. These 2 young mares gave you every reason to try and understand what's really going on here, but you were too angry and upset to listen. I think Scootaloo is correct. I think it is best you return to Ponyville. I will personally see to it that Spike is made aware of the repercussions of his actions. I hope you all can trust me with that task."
"Yes, Princess,"
they said in unison. The 5 stallions turned to leave, but Soren stopped and walked back. "I'm sorry, Scootaloo. You too, Belle. I didn't intend to get so mad. I just don't like seeing Rainbow being taken advantage of. I wouldn't have hurt Spike, and I'd never lay a hoof on Sweetie Belle, especially now she packs quite well up." Scootaloo cracked a half smile. "Yeah, she does. You should have seen her during training." "Sorry about that," Sweetie Belle apologized. "Don't be. I crossed the line. You were just protecting Spike," he said. "So, are we cool, girls?" the Blue Pegasus asked. "Yeah, we're cool. I couldn't stay mad at the guy who's gonna marry my mom," she said, smiling. "Yes, Soren. Don't worry about it. I'm sure you meant well," Sweetie Belle said. The Blue Pegasus smiled back at Scootaloo and her mare friend, then galloped off to catch up with his friends. Stepping back into the palace, Sweetie Belle began to shiver uncontrollably. Scootaloo was right there to help prop her up. "Belle, are you okay?" "Oh dear," Celestia said. The princess turned to her captain of the guard, who was never far away. "Commander Stormwing, please get Splints here in a hurry." The White Pegasus took one look at Sweetie Belle and rushed off after giving Celestia a sharp salute. Scootaloo held the shaking filly tightly, trying to calm her down. "What's wrong with her, Princess?" Scootaloo asked. "Is she going to be okay?"
"It's battle shock," an olive green Pegasus said.
"But she wasn't in combat. She was protecting her dad from those stallions outside,"
Scootaloo explained. "It doesn't matter. She had so much adrenaline running through her body for so long that her system is having a problem dealing with it," Splints explained.
"Will she be okay, Splints?" Celestia asked.
"Yes, Your Majesty. She just needs to rest," he said.
"In that case, I suggest we put her in with her father," the princess said. "Scootaloo, I'm counting on you to watch over them both." "Yes, Your Majesty, I won't let you down," Scootaloo said, saluting the elder princess.
Sweetie Belle slowly opened her eyes, a loud crunching noise assaulting her ears. Belle rolled over in the direction of the noise and jumped up, shocked at what she saw. A purple dragon was sitting in what was left of the gem cocoon, slowly devouring it.
"Daddy?"
she asked.
"Hello, my little angel," he said.
Sweetie Belle jumped on the dragon, wrapping her front hooves around his neck.
"Daddy, I'm so happy you're all right. You had us all worried." "I'm sorry, Sweetie Belle. I didn't mean for this to get so complicated, but I know that your mother would have found a way to talk me out of this, if given the chance. She can be very persuasive when she wants to be."
Spike set Sweetie Belle down on the floor and slowly got up to stretch. Spike had certainly grown. He stood as tall as Big Macintosh, but now he walked on all fours instead of only 2 feet. His body was a little longer than most ponies, and his tail followed behind him, thick but tapering out into a spade-shaped point. His neck was also slightly longer than that of a normal pony, and his face was no longer flat and babyish. Instead, his snout extended a good 5 or 6 inches from the rest of his face. Below his chin was a small patch of green fur, about 2 inches long. On his head and down his back, where his green scales had been before, now had a green mane that flowed down his head, neck, and back. It wasn't overly long, but short enough to look neat. From the front corners of his mouth stood the same 2 small fangs, but now Sweetie Belle assumed they were larger than they used to be. Spike could feel Sweetie Belle studying his new form. "I guess I'm going to have to get used to walking like this from now on. It's not that different from when I was a pony." "We do good work, don't we, darling?" Luna and Twilight had been standing in the doorway.
"Yes, we do," Twilight said, smiling. "But, Spike, I must say that you've disappointed me. You didn't have to lie to get this," Twilight lectured him. "If you told us how you felt, like you told Rarity, we would have gladly helped." "Indeed," Princess Celestia walked gracefully into the room. "I hope you understand just how precious that little daughter of yours is. She faced down 4 fully grown stallions that were quite upset with you, and by herself no less. I spoke to the guards. She had given them instructions not to assist her unless they got past her."
"She did?" Spike asked.
"Yes, Spike. From what I've heard, she roughed up Soren with her horn. She even threatened them with the business end of her horn if they tried to get past her to you," Twilight informed him. "You have a lot of apologizing to do in Ponyville. I suggest you take care of it as soon as possible. A carriage is awaiting outside to take you, Scoot, and Belle back home. We'll be back sometime in the next few days." Spike gave Twilight a big hug. "Thank you so much, Twilight. I'll never forget this." Twilight gasped for air. "Spike can't breathe." Spike released her immediately. "Eh? Sorry, Twilight. Guess I don't know my own strength anymore." He turned to Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo. "Come on, girls. We have a bunch of ponies to surprise." Spike walked toward the door with Sweetie Belle riding on his back and Scootaloo walking beside them. He stopped in the doorway and looked back at the royal family with tears in his deep emerald eyes. "Thank you so much," he said scarcely above a whisper. He nuzzled Sweetie Belle's cheek, then continued to the carriage. Celestia wiped a tear away, looking at the 2 other alicorns. She saw in their eyes the same emotions she herself was feeling as they watched Spike leave for home. "Speaking of surprises," Celestia said, "shouldn't you get to your parents' house and let them in on your 3 little secrets?" "You're right. They're expecting us in an hour. Luna, can you get the twins ready? I'll meet you by the front entry." "What are you going to do while I'm getting dawn and dusk ready?" "I'll be trying not to freak out." Princess Celestia walked towards the entrance to the palace and found a very nervous Twilight Sparkle pacing back and forth. "Twilight, is everything all right?" she asked, concerned. Everything is fine. I'm just going to tell my parents, whom I haven't spoken to or even written in 4 years, that I'm a filly fooler, I'm marrying Princess Luna, and we used a magic spell and now they have twin grandfaults," Twilight rambled sarcastically. "Oh, is that all?" the princess asked, trying to defuse the situation. "Celestia, I'm afraid they won't love me anymore," Twilight admitted. "You know them. My parents were raised in the ways of the old nobility. What if they don't approve of my relationship with Luna? What if they don't accept their grandfaults? What if—" Celestia held up a hoof to silence the comparably young Alicorn. "Twilight, calm yourself. Yes, I know your parents, better than you do, apparently. I've known your mother since the birth of Shining Armor. Only your mother would refuse to reschedule a royal audience on account of being in labor." The princess chuckled, remembering the incident. The white Alicorn sat next to her former pupil. "Your parents may have been raised in the old nobility, but they have their own thoughts and ideas, so much that both of them called off arranged marriages so they could be together. Trust me, Twilight, everything is going to be fine." "I agree with Tia," Luna said as she walked up to her mate with their folds securely snugged down in her saddlebags. "I only met your parents briefly during your brother's wedding, but they seemed like ponies who love their children." "You see, Twilight, you have nothing to fear," Celestia said, giving her future sister-in-law a reassuring hug. "Now, while you two are out and about in town, I was wondering if you could run a small errand for me?" "I don't see why not," Luna said. Celestia gave a scroll to Twilight emblazoned with a royal seal. "After Sweetie Belle's concert 4 months ago, I realized that my school for gifted unicorns could benefit from an expert in illusion magic. After an exhaustive search, I found an excellent candidate. As my prized pupil, I'd like you to extend the invitation, Twilight." "I'd be honored. Who is it?" she asked. "I think I'll let you discover that on your own, but you can find her at the Noonvale Theater. It's located on Beethoven Lane in the Arts Quarter," Celestia told them. "Sister, are you up to something?" Luna asked. "I have no idea what you are talking about, little sister," Celestia said with a smile. "Off you go now. If you hurry, you should get there between performances." Luna and Twilight approached the Noonvale Theater, escorted by a small contingent of 6 Royal Night Guards. "Dear, was the escort really necessary?" Twilight asked. "There are so many ponies staring at us." "Trust me, darling, there would be many, many more ponies looking at us if the guards weren't here. I'm just happy the children are sleeping. This kind of attention is not what they need at their age," Luna explained.
"Your Grace, we've arrived. Lady Twilight, I think you may want to see this," the lead guard said.
Twilight walked up to a performance poster placed on the front wall of the theater next to the door. "Oh, no, 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 no! This is not happening," Twilight said, shaking her head. The poster in front of her depicted in a particular unicorn mare that was made up to look like Twilight. Luna walked up next to her mate. "The resemblance is passable, but the mane and tail are all wrong. Do you know this pony, dear?" Twilight was fuming. "Oh, yes, I know her," she said, barging through the front door. Seeing a pony behind the ticket counter, Twilight marched right up to him. "Where is she? Where is that impostor?" she demanded. The entrance of Twilight, Luna, and 6 Royal Night Guards startled the stallion behind the counter. For a moment the yellow unicorn stallion stood there, staring at them with his teal eyes. He brushed his short red hair out of his face and blinked his eyes as if he was unsure of what he was seeing. Suddenly he busted up laughing. "Oh, that was good, Trix. You had me going for a moment there. Wow, you really got me. Hey, I thought you said you didn't want to reproduce Twilight's appearance exactly. And what's with the wings? A new addition to the act?" The stallion walked around the counter and approached one of the guards. "These look so real. Babe, you are definitely getting better," he said, poking the royal guard in the chest. The royal guard in question wasted no time, pinning the unfortunate stallion to the ground. From the upstairs suite of the theater a particular mare heard a commotion and decided to investigate. Her light blue mane bounced off its own accord as she trotted down the stairs that led to the theater lobby. "Zizi, is everything okay?" "The great and powerful Trixie, I presume?" Twilight asked accusingly. "Twilight, what are you doing here? Who are all these ponies? What—" Trixie stopped mid-sentence when she saw the princess. "Your Majesty, we apologize for yelling. Princess Celestia told me you and Twilight would visit, but we did not expect you so soon." She tried to explain, while the guard that had the unicorn stallion pinned to the ground allowed him up with a nod from Twilight. He walked to Trixie's side. "Perhaps you would like to explain why my fiancé is being impersonated in the theater? I know that what happened between you two, and I would assume this is your sick way of getting revenge. Are you using the theater to smear her good name?" Luna demanded. A young light blue unicorn colt with a red mane and tail came running down the stairs and jumped in front of a shocked Trixie. "You leave my mummy alone! Why are you being so mean to her?" he demanded. Trixie reached out and snatched up her son. "It's okay, Rusty. Mummy and Daddy are just, auditioning these ponies. It's all an act. You remember what I told you about acting, right?" "Yes, Mummy. Acting is just pretend, not real," he said proudly. "That's my boy," the stallion said, mussing the colt's mane with his hoof. "Can I play with the babies, Mummy?" Rusty asked. "Babies? What babies?" Trixie asked. The light blue unicorn looked around and settled her gaze on the saddlebags lying across Luna's back and the two foals sitting up in them, looking around at their new surroundings. Twilight was unsure. "He's a good boy. They'll be safe with him. I give you my word," the colt's father assured them. Luna looked at Twilight, who then nodded her agreement. "Lieutenant, please take the prince and princess into the other room with the young colt and keep an eye on them. I'll leave their safety in your hooves," Luna said to one of the younger guards. After the guard and the three foals left the room, Luna turned her attention on the two other ponies. "Well then, now that the children are not in the room, would you care to explain yourself?" "Twilight, Your Majesty, Trixie would like... I want to say that I would never use this theater to slander Twilight's name. In fact, it was Twilight that brought me and Steve together," Trixie explained. "After what happened in Ponyville all those years ago, I had a hard time getting work. I was down to my last bit, and I blamed you for all of it, Twilight. Then I met Steve. We married a few months later, and the year after, little Rusty was born. Steve took me in, and he and Rusty gave me purpose again. Most of all, Steve got me to see that I caused my problems, not you." "I'm happy for you, truly. But what does any of that have to do with you impersonating me?" Twilight asked. "I accept that my magic couldn't compare with yours, and then I had an idea. Instead of bragging about feats I never performed, I'd show other ponies the abilities of a truly amazing unicorn," she said. "All I do is use my magic to cast an illusion on myself and the stage to allow the audience to see whatever is needed for the day's performance. It saves a fortune on sets and costumes, and ponies love it," Steve said. "Ever since we started performing the Twilight series, our theater has been packed. They can't get enough of you and your adventures." Twilight blushed slightly. "If it's okay, may I ask a question?" "I don't see any harm," Luna responded. "Well, actually, it's a few questions. You called Twilight your fiancée, is that true? And the wings, are they magic or real?" Zeph asked. "The foals, are they yours, Twilight, or the princess's?" Trixie asked. Twilight wasn't sure what to say. Luna nudged her. "Go ahead, dear. They'll find out soon enough." "Luna and I are engaged to be married. The foals are ours," Twilight said. "But how is that possible?" Trixie asked. "That and the wings are a long story," Twilight said, shaking her head. "Well, we have 2 hours before the next show. I'd love to hear what happened," Trixie said. Her face lit up at the prospect of new material for her performances. The two alicorns took a deep breath and began their story. Trixie and Zeph sat there, taking in the story they were told. "Wow, that was incredible. I never knew," the light blue unicorn said. "Sorry, I didn't mean to sound like I was boasting," Twilight apologized. "Are you kidding?" Zeph asked. "This is going to give us material for at least 10 more episodes in our series. That is, if it's okay with you, Your Majesty." "I don't think you're going to have time. It seems your performances caught the eye of someone else," Twilight informed them as she gave Celestia's scroll to Trixie. The light blue unicorn unrolled the scroll and read it carefully. "What is it, Trix?" "It's a letter from Princess Celestia. She wants me to teach illusion magic and theory at her school. She's even offered a spot at the school for Rusty, providing he passes the entrance exam," she said, surprised. "My sister is apparently very taken with your ability. What shall I tell her?" Yes, of course, yes, if it's okay with you, Sev, she said. Go for it, babe. You'll be a great teacher, and I know Rusty can pass the exam. He deserves the best education possible, Sev told her. If you like, I can tutor him for the exam. Every little bit helps, Twilight offered. Trixie was in tears. Thank you, Twilight. Thank you. I don't know how I can ever repay you. I didn't do anything, Trixie. Celestia recognized your talent, your ability, and sought you out. She must also see something in Rusty to sponsor his admission to her school, Twilight reassured her. Yes, the great and powerful Trixie is finally acknowledged for her greatness, Trixie blurted out. I mean, thank you. It means a lot to me. Let's go tell Rusty the good news. Twilight and Luna walked out of the theater with her escort, the folds snuggled secured in their bags. That was interesting, but thanks to my sister's errand, I fear we will be late talking to your parents. It's such a nice day. We don't have to hurry. Let's take the scenic route, Twilight suggested as they walked down the street. Luna could see her maid shaking visibly. Dear, you really need to calm down. I'm sure your parents will understand. I'm trying, but I just don't know what to say. The last letter I sent them talked about you coming to town and staying with Rarity. You saw me? I was stargazing on my balcony that night, and even with you trying to hide, an alicorn tends to catch the eye. Or at least mine, Twilight said, smiling. Well, at least you're smiling. So which way is your parents' house? They live in the observatory, on the north end of the city, Twilight explained. Luna continued walking, but Twilight was rooted in place. Your Majesty, one of the guards called out. Luna looked back to find the love of her life glued to her spot on the sidewalk. Walking back to her mare, Luna nuzzled her softly. I'm sure everything will be fine, and even if your parents have a problem with you marrying a princess, you'll always have me and the Folds. Twilight smiled and started walking with her towards the observatory towered in the distance. The walk to Twilight's Phillyhood home didn't take as long as she hoped it would. Twilight gently knocked on the door. No pony home, I guess we missed them. We can go now, she said rapidly. Inside the Sparkle home, the 5 ponies inside heard a knock at the door. Star got up from the table. You 4 relax, I'll get it. It's most likely Twilight. No, Miss Sparkle, I'll get it. You spent time with Aiden and your son. I've kept you apart for too long already, and I'd love to surprise my sister-in-law, Cadence told her. Don't blame yourself, dear. You have an important job. I'm just happy to see all of you when I can, Star told her. I'll try to make more of a habit of dropping by. Now, please let me answer the door before she leaves. The door behind Twilight opened quickly, just as she was trying to walk away. Twilight! We were afraid you weren't going to make it, Princess Cadence said, hugging her sister-in-law. Oh my goodness, you have wings, she said, shocked. Twilight's parents rushed out to the front door to find Princess Luna, Twilight, and 6 royal guards. Princess Luna, her father said, surprised. Both he and Twilight's mother bowed immediately. Twilight lowered her head to her parents. Mom, Dad, get up, please. Luna hates it when ponies do that. Mr. and Mrs. Sparkle, I'm so happy to finally meet you. Cadence, I'm happy to see you again as well, but maybe we should go inside. Since Twilight has been negligent in her letters to you, I'm afraid we have quite a bit to talk about. Of course, and please call me Star. Our home is your home, she said, ushering them inside. Luna turned to the 6 guards that had escorted them. I would appreciate it if you would remain outside. As you wish, Princess. The ponies walked into the living room and made themselves comfortable. Since my wife has already introduced herself, my name is Crescent. May I take your bags, Princess? That's okay. I don't think they'd be too happy with you handling them just yet, since they've never seen you before. I'm sorry, I don't understand, Crescent said. A little foal head popped up from each of the saddlebags. Oh my goodness, they're darling, Princess Cadence said. Shining, get over here quick. Shining Armor rushed into the entry hall of a large house. Cadence, I just put Aiden down for a nap. Is everything okay? Twilight laughed sheepishly. Mom, Dad, Shining, I'd like you to meet my foals. Foals? They're yours? When? Who? Star asked, shocked. I gave birth 5 days ago to twins. Dusk and for the colt and Dawn for the filly, Twilight explained. Who's the father, and why isn't he here? Shining Armor asked, more than a little upset. Something I'd like to know as well. "I sired the foals," Luna stated bluntly. "Twilight and I are very much in love and are set to be married shortly. I would very much like to have your blessing, though." "I have to sit down," Crescent said, looking at his daughter and the fear in her eyes. Crescent couldn't help but smile. "Twilight, before anything else happens, please calm yourself, okay?" "Dear, we're not mad, just a little shocked is all," her mother said. Shining Armor and Cadence flanked Twilight and the princess. "Mom and Dad are right, Twily, and I'm not mad at you either," her brother said. Dawn and Dusk sat in their bags on the floor, surrounded by their family, when they began to cry. "Dear, I think it's feeding time," Luna said. Twilight nodded and levitated her folds over to her and brought them to her abdomen while Luna covered her with a blanket for a small amount of privacy. The adult ponies in the room smiled. "Twilight, Aunt Luna, I think you should explain everything from the beginning. It would certainly answer a lot of questions," Princess Cadence suggested. Over the next 2 hours, the two Alicons laid it all out on the table. They explained about Luna in Ponyville, her adventures in matchmaking, the battle with Nightmare Moon, Luna and Twilight's wings. Things were a little less descriptive when they explained how two mares could conceive children. They finally discussed the visit from Discord and the events surrounding her future and that of her friends. By now the twins had finished feeding and were being held by their aunt and uncle, while Twilight and Luna were fawing over Aiden, Twilight's nephew, who had his father's white coat, his mother's violet eyes, and a streak of blonde running through his blue mane. "You're going to have to give me a minute, sweetie. This is a bit much to take at once," Crescent said. Star punched her husband in the shoulder. "What's to understand? Our daughter has been turned into an alicorn. She's given birth to 2 beautiful foals, and she and her friends are going to live forever, so they can defend Equestria from anything that would ever threaten it. On top of that, she's fallen in love with Princess Luna, and they're getting married. Really, dear, sometimes you can be terribly slow." Star and Cadence walked over and hugged Twilight. "We're so happy for you," Star said. Cadence turned to Luna and embraced her. "We're happy for both of you." Twilight's father and brother sat next to her, watching Star and Cadence hugging Luna. "You really know how to pick them, Twilight. I'm happy for you too," her brother said. Twilight hugged her father and brother tightly. "Mom, Dad, we were wondering, at the wedding it's tradition for the father to give the daughter away. We were wondering if you would be willing to give Luna away, Mom?" "Of course, dear, I'd love to." The carriage carrying Spike, Sweetie Belle, and Scootaloo slowly came to a halt outside the Carousel Boutique. "I have no idea what I'm doing," Spike confessed to the two fillies. They stepped off the carriage, thanked their attendants, and walked towards the shop. "I know," Sweetie Belle said. "You stay here and hide in the bushes. When I say so, walk out into the light so Mom can see you." "Okay, Angel, I'll wait here," Spike said. Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo ran inside the shop and up the stairs to the private apartment. The whole place was packed with ponies, all there to support Rarity.
"Sweetie Belle," Big Macintosh said, "what are you doing here? I thought you'd be still up in Canterlot."
"Well, I'm back now, and I'm sorry for the way I acted. I shouldn't have threatened you. It's just, Spike is the only daddy I've ever known, and I didn't want anything to happen to him."
Macintosh put his hoof along her cheek. "It's okay, Belle. I lost my father a long time ago, so I can understand what you're feeling. Spike is lucky to have a daughter that loves him so much."
Sweetie Belle smiled and thanked him for his kind words. Pushing her way between the ponies, she nudged her way around till she found Rarity. She ran to her mother and hugged her tightly. "Sweetie Belle, you're back. I missed you so much." "I missed you too, Mom. I did it. I kept my promise. I brought Daddy home," she said, smiling. "Where is he? I don't see him," Rarity said anxiously. "He's outside. Every pony follow me," Sweetie Belle shouted excitedly. There was a mass exodus of ponies pouring out of the shop and onto the path outside. "Where is the little Spiky Wikey?" Pinky asked. Sweetie Belle let out a piercing whistle. "Come on out, Daddy." Spike cautiously stepped out of the bushes into a shaft of light on the path. Rarity was awestruck by the creature standing before her. The golden light illuminated every scale on his body. He shined and glimmered as if he was made of the very jewels that nourished him during his sleep. For all his changes, one thing had stayed the same. Rarity could see that his emerald green eyes still radiated the love his heart held for her. One by one the pony couples walked by Spike on their way home.
"Sorry about earlier, Spike. No hard feelings?"
"None at all, Brayburn. The princess told me what happened. I understand how you all felt. It's all my fault, and it's gonna take a lot of work on my part to earn that trust back from all of you." Pinky gave him a kiss on the cheek and whispered into his ear, "She needs you. Don't let anything she says tell you different." Spike simply smiled and nodded. Rainbow Dash walked up, and without saying a word she punched him hard in the jaw, forcing his head to whip around violently. Spike saw it coming, but it didn't move. He simply sat there and took it. Turning his head back, he looked at the Pegasus in the eyes. "That's for lying to me," she said angrily. "Don't ever do that again, Spike. Next time just ask," she said as she flew off into the sky. "That's one tough daughter you got there, Spike. You take care of her, okay?" "Will do, Soren." Big Macintosh and Fluttershy walked by next. They didn't say anything, they just nodded and walked on their way. Next came Applejack and Caramel. "I just want you to know I understand why you did what you did, Spike," Caramel said. "I would have done the same thing in your position, but the way you did it, it's what's got every pony upset."
"You ain't just whistling, Dixie. You got a whole heap of ponies mad at you, Spike. You've lied to almost all your friends, and worse, you made that pony cry," she said, indicating Rarity. "I suggest you do whatever it takes to put a smile back on her face, or you and me are going to have a few rounds." Applejack gave him a sly wink as they walked off toward Sweet Apple Acres. "Hi, Mr. Spike. You sure got big. Are you and Rarity gonna get married like the rest of us?" "If she'll still have me, Ditzy, yes." "I wouldn't worry about it too much, old boy. I've been a lot of places, seen a lot of things, and I can tell you this. Since the invention of love itself, there have been 5 great loves that were rated the most passionate, the most pure, the most enduring. What I see between you and Rarity leaves them all behind." Spike smiled as Ditzy and Julian slowly walked home, leaning against each other, their flanks touching. "Come on, Scoots, let's leave them alone," Sweetie Belle whispered in her friend's ear. Quickly the 2 young mares ran off towards the Cutie Mark Crusaders clubhouse. "Rarity," Spike said. She held up her hoof in regal manner to silence him. "I'm not sure I want you talking to me right now. Do you have any idea what you put me through? What you put all our friends through?" she asked, taking a step closer to him with every word. "Garnet's been crying all day. He thought you left us. I had to tell him that everything was okay, that you were just visiting Twilight and Canterlot, and that you'd be back in a few days. He's with Granny Smith over at the farm, but that's not the point. You forced me to lie to my son. I've lied to Sweetie Belle all her life. I don't want to lie to my children any more," she yelled at him. Spike wrapped his arms around Rarity. "I'm sorry." Rarity broke down crying. "I don't want you to be sorry. I want you to understand. I hate you for how you made me feel," she said, beating her hoofs against his chest. "It was like Belle's father all over again. The pain, the loneliness. I don't ever want to feel that again." Spike put a claw under her chin and raised her face to meet his. "Then marry me, Rarity. Marry me, and you never have to be alone. I'll never leave you or the children ever again. You, Sweetie Belle and Garnet, are everything to me. If I lost you, I'd go insane. I was wrong for leaving without talking to you. I was wrong for a lot of things recently, but most of all, I was wrong for ever leaving your side." Spike confessed through the tears pouring from his eyes. "I know you said it once, but things have changed, and I need to hear you say it once more." "Do you mean that, Spike? Do you promise never to leave us again? To never hide what you're thinking or feeling for me?" "My dearest Lady Rarity, you have my most solemn word of honor that I shall never leave your side, and if anything should come between us, I will do whatever it takes, or die trying, to once again be in your radiant presence." "Oh, Spike, yes, yes, I'll marry you." Rarity kissed the dragon she had come to love more than life itself. Rarity couldn't help but let her heart scream its joy. "Finally, I've found my Prince Charming!"